In the worst-case scenario, this $14 trillion crisis could leave tens of millions of Americans struggling to make ends meet every week. Specifically, I'm talking about the retirement crisis that is currently unfolding in the United States as we speak. It's estimated that the country's retirement savings deficit is as large as $14 trillion and growing every day. This has alarmingly raised the ire of Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world. Should we build a facility? Should we, quite frankly, raise the age for Social Security? When asked, "What's up with that?" Larry Fink replied, "Well, it's something I've been writing about for years, but I emphasize it in this letter. And you know all my letters have been based on some long-term issues. To be really honest about my letters, they are a reflection of my conversations with clients. Personal starts with your parents, and they are earning savings for retirement and includes your grandkids as well. Yes. The retirement crisis. Give us your diagnosis of that problem right now." Thus, over the course of the last year, I have heard an increasing number of conversations about retirement and the retirement crisis from people in both developed and middle-class developing nations. The serious issue in the United States is that 57 million people do not have any retirement savings or plans. Social Security is a great starting point for retirement, but if that's all you have, you'll be living below the poverty line because it's not meant to be your only source of income in retirement. Additionally, the idea that we're all getting older and living longer is, in my opinion, one of the major narratives. I have to think back to 2023 and the miracles of medicine. We talk about how medications like Ozempic and various weight loss pills are extending life and curing diseases like kidney, liver, heart, and joint pain. New medications are also being developed to treat dementia, which is also prolonging life. Therefore, when you consider the miracles of technology and how it improves and lengthens our lives, the question of whether or not we can afford that longevity is not discussed in America or most other countries. Our entire retirement system was designed based on statistics created 50 years ago, when the majority of Americans retired between the ages of 60 and 62, but the majority of them died at the age of 67. Today, statistically, a couple who are 60 years old and in good health will have a member live to be over 90 years old. Therefore, the second question is, should we assess how long and how we work? After all, we all need a purpose in life, and the majority of people find it in their work, although it's also possible that they find it in their community, with their grandchildren, or with their children. We need to have a debate and a dialogue about the idea of retiring at 60 with 30 more years or a 30-year life ahead of you. As you know, I'm an optimist. Regarding the long-term vitality of our markets, I am really hopeful. I read the newspapers and listen to Bloomberg and other news organizations every morning, and I'm bullish on capitalism because it's full of scary stuff. We discuss the issues. As ridiculous as it seems, we need to start a worldwide, and more significantly, a national dialogue about the affordability of retirement and the concept of retirement. We talk about all the problems in life, but we address them by communication, right? This is the one area where we have no conversation. As a side note, make sure to watch this video through to the very end, as we'll be discussing some secret wealth building hacks that you can use to help ensure that you aren't one of the nearly 50% of Americans who don't have a single dollar saved for retirement. This means that the majority of Americans' dream of a life without work and older age is likely going to be out of reach. It is evident that America's retirement system is seriously flawed. But as you will soon learn, things were not always this way. In fact, the roots of this issue may be traced back decades. What I mean is that, in this story, which takes place in the 1960s in the United States, John has just entered his prime working age, and like many in his generation, he chose not to attend college in favor of starting his career straight out of high school. John found employment in manufacturing at a local factory in his hometown, which we'll call ABC Company. After only a few weeks of training, John was productively employed by ABC and was able to support his young family in addition to receiving a salary. For those of you who may not be aware, a pension is a retirement benefit that an employer offers to its employees. I'll spare you the intricate details and complexities of pensions here, but what you need to know is that, in essence, an employer who offers a pension is guaranteeing an employee a certain amount of money each month when they retire. The exact amount of that money depends on a number of factors. However, the length of the employee's employment usually plays a major role in determining the pension payment. The more years the employee works for the company, the larger the monthly pension payment upon retirement. Because the employee knows exactly how much they will receive each month in retirement, pensions are known as defined benefit programs. In John's generation, it was common for employees to work at the same company for their entire career. Years go by in our story, and our character John eventually has a child named John Jr., who has the unusual name John Jr. The first effect of this defined benefit pension program is that it relieves John of the burden of saving for retirement because the employer, not the employee, is responsible for ensuring the employee has monthly income when they retire. The second effect is that John will want to stay with this employer for a long time. Became a young adult in the 1990s. John Jr. attends college before entering the workforce. By the time Jr. is ready to enter the workforce, manufacturing jobs are far less frequent than when John Sr. was a young man. Similar to his father, John Jr. joined the ABC company, but instead of working at the factory, he works as an accountant in the company's office. Another significant difference between John Jr.'s job and his father's is that John Jr. has what is known as a 401 instead of a pension. Automation and globalization have eliminated many manufacturing jobs in the U.S. The burden of saving and investing for retirement has shifted from the employer to the employee with a defined contribution plan like a 401k. The employee is required to set aside a portion of their paycheck into a retirement account. The amount, if any, that they choose to contribute to retirement savings is now entirely up to them. Although the switch from defined benefit to defined contribution may seem subtle, it has significantly contributed to the current retirement crisis in the U.S. This is how Larry put it in his annual letter. The true disadvantage of defined contribution was that it shifted the majority of the retirement burden from employers to the employees themselves, with pensions companies having a very clear obligation to their employees. Retirement funds were a financial liability on the corporate bank balance sheet. Companies knew they would have to write checks to each retiree on a monthly basis. However, in order to find contribution plans, they ended up forcing retirees to exchange a reliable source of income for an unsolvable math problem. Since most defined contribution accounts don't have monthly withdrawal limits. To put it simply, the shift from defined benefit to defined contribution has been for most people a shift from financial certainty to financial uncertainty. As Larry Fink just explained, this shift has fundamentally changed the way retirement works in the U.S., ultimately contributing to the retirement crisis facing the nation. But things are poised to get even worse. Individual savers must first build up a nest egg, then spend down at a rate that will last them for the rest of their lives. But who really knows how long that will last? Larry continues, consider why you mentioned our longevity, which has increased significantly. We all gain from that, so it's a good thing that we're not complaining at the same time. However, should we be supporting people who work longer, as you suggest in your letter, or should we raise the Social Security age? That's not a decision I have to make, but I believe we should have a conversation because you and I are both the same age, and we both find meaning in our work. In fact, Mike, the founder of Bloomberg, is still employed. My goodness, I think that individuals who are able to find meaning in their profession should work for as long as they can. If they find blessings, a purpose, or anything else, then go ahead and do that. However, I think we should talk about these opportunities. The average citizen, in my opinion, is unaware of just how much longer we will be able to live. While medical advancements have allowed us to live 10 to 20 years longer than those of previous generations, we haven't made changes to our Social Security or retirement systems. Therefore, I believe that having this conversation is the most important thing David and I can do. Through it, most people will likely decide to work longer or choose to be more involved in society. There was formerly something known as the three-legged stool of retirement in the United States, and how people invested their money for retirement. The purpose of this illustration is to illustrate the three primary sources of retirement income that seniors depend on for their financial security. Social Security came first. The second leg of the retirement stool is pensions, which we discussed in more detail earlier in this video. The third and final leg of the retirement stool is the individual's own personal savings. Social Security is essentially a government savings program in the U.S. that replaces a percentage of a worker's pre-retirement income based on their lifetime earnings that they were able to accumulate over their working lifetime. These three sources of income together helped give a retiree a steady monthly income for the rest of their life. However, as we discussed earlier, things have changed over time. And as we can see here, pensions are now essentially a thing of the past for workers in the private sector. In 1988, 63% of workers received a pension. By 2007, that percentage has practically halved to 32%. The trend has continued, and as of 2024, only 15% of workers in the private sector were eligible for a pension. Pensions are becoming less common, so we can cross that leg of the stool with a huge red X. The situation for retirees regarding Social Security is only marginally better. According to a recent report, if Social Security continues on its current course, retirees will no longer be able to receive their full benefit starting in 2034. It is well documented that unless significant changes are made, Social Security will eventually run out, which raises serious doubts about this leg of the stool. Suddenly, the so-called three-legged stool of retirement is left with only one leg to stand on, meaning that people's personal savings are the only source of income they can rely on to support them during retirement. People are living longer, as demonstrated in this clip, which means that one source of retirement income will have to stretch even further. The average life expectancy in the U.S. was 68 years in 1950. However, thanks to scientific advancements in medicine and healthcare, this trend is expected to continue. The United Nations predicts that by the end of this century, the average American will be nearly 90 years old. While this is undoubtedly great news for society, longer lifespans mean that retirees will need to stretch their savings even further. Even more, he suggests delaying the country's retirement age. He explained that not only are more Americans retiring, but that these retirements are lasting longer. For example, if you're married and both you and your spouse are over 65, there's a 50-50th chance that at least one of you will receive a Social Security check until you're 90. The Social Security Administration itself states that it won't be able to pay retirees their full benefits by 2034, which is putting a burden on the U.S. retirement system. What is the solution? No one should be forced to work longer than they choose. But given the dreadful circumstances, I do believe it's a little absurd that our core concept of the appropriate retirement age of 65 years old comes from the Ottoman Empire. In order to help you be the best prepared for retirement, especially if your goal is to not work past what is currently considered the typical retirement age, I would like to end this video with some concrete steps that you can take on your own. The first thing to do is automate your investing and savings. Many employers offer retirement plans that let you have a portion of your paycheck deducted automatically. This is crucial because it automatically incorporates investing into your monthly budget. In addition, a lot of these plans let you raise the percentage of your income that you set aside for retirement on an annual basis. Hence, you may begin by setting aside 8% of your income, which will increase automatically by 0.5 percentage points annually. The objective is to save 15% of your income for retirement, an amount that many personal finance experts advise. The second step is to ensure that the money is being invested correctly, as most people find investing to be extremely complex. If you don't want to spend the time learning about investments, legendary investor Warren Buffett suggests placing your savings in an inexpensive S&P 500 index fund. Buffett claims that this provides investors with access to a diverse portfolio of the biggest companies in the nation. The third tip is to create and adhere to a thorough monthly budget. By analyzing your expenses down to the last penny, you can probably identify places where money is being wasted. As an illustration, it's estimated that the typical American pays $25 per month for subscription services they never use. These new fund savings can be utilized to enhance the amount you save and invest each month. Monitoring your expenditures will help you identify even more areas like these where money is falling through the cracks. Larry Fink's assertion that many people will never be able to afford to retire is a stark reminder of the challenges facing millions around the world. The implications of this statement are vast, reaching beyond individual finances to impact entire economies and societies. At its core, Fink's warning reflects a deep-seated problem: the erosion of retirement security for a significant portion of the population. For decades, the traditional notion of retirement has been built on the foundation of employer-sponsored pensions and government-provided Social Security. However, this model is showing signs of strain. With increasing life expectancies, rising healthcare costs, and economic uncertainties, many are finding it difficult to amass enough savings to sustain themselves in retirement. Fink's message resonates with the reality that for a growing number of people, retirement is becoming an unattainable luxury. The ramifications of this trend are profound. Without adequate retirement savings, individuals may be forced to work longer, delaying retirement well into their later years. This not only affects their quality of life, but also puts pressure on younger generations entering the workforce, limiting their opportunities for career advancement. Moreover, as more people rely on social safety nets in retirement, governments face mounting fiscal pressures, potentially leading to cuts in benefits or increased taxes. Fink's assertion is not merely a prediction, but a reflection of existing disparities. The inability to retire isn't evenly distributed across society. It disproportionately affects marginalized communities, including women, minorities, and low-income earners. These groups often face systemic barriers to building wealth, such as wage gaps, limited access to affordable health care, and precarious employment. As a result, they are more likely to enter retirement with insufficient savings, exacerbating existing inequalities. Addressing the retirement crisis requires a multifaceted approach. Governments must enact policies that promote retirement savings and ensure the sustainability of Social Security programs. This might involve expanding access to retirement plans, increasing employer contributions, or implementing tax incentives for saving. At the same time, businesses must recognize their responsibility to provide adequate retirement benefits to their employees. Offering retirement plans, matching contributions, and providing financial education can empower workers to plan for their future. Individuals also play a crucial role in securing their retirement. Financial literacy is key. Understanding the importance of saving early, diversifying investments, and managing debt can significantly impact long-term financial security. Additionally, making use of available retirement vehicles such as 401(k) plans or IRAs can help individuals build a nest egg for the is now. In conclusion, investing is an effective strategy for increasing money and safeguarding your future finances. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced investor, there's always something new to learn and explore in the world of finance. I hope this tutorial has provided valuable insights and inspiration for your investment journey. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more investing tips and tutorials. Thanks for watching and happy investing!